Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the video and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about the newly announced Canon EOS R6 Mark II and all of the new changes coming to the second version of this camera that were officially announced by Canon late last night. The first feature I want to talk about that we did not get was the stacked sensor, which is something that I said in my last R6 Mark II video that I did not think we were going to get, especially if they were going to keep this around the $24.99 price point like they did for the body only. While we did get a 24.2 megapixel sensor that is similar to the R3, it is not the same sensor as the R3 and was a newly developed sensor for this camera and unfortunately did not have the stacked sensor. Now moving on from there, we did get a handful of features that were actually slightly better than what some of the rumors had suggested for this camera. And those are the features that we are going to go over today. So on the photography side of this camera, we are going to be getting 40 FPS in electronic shutter, which is up from 20 FPS in the R6, which is also what the R5 has. That's an absolutely insane number of shots per second, and it's going to make sure that you absolutely don't miss out on some great shots when using this camera if you're doing wedding photography, sports photography, nature, or anything that requires you to take large amounts of burst shots. Now up next is going to be the improved autofocusing system. It's going to sit somewhere kind of like the way the R7's was. Now the autofocus system on this new unit is going to be much more improved over the standard R6. It looks like the basis of these improvements are going to be something like in your Canon R7, which were based off the Canon R3. Now, from what I've seen in some hands-on reviews of this camera, it's not the exact same autofocusing system from the R3, but it is extremely close and you can tell that it was based off of that idea. You're going to have more options for focusing on vehicles like trains, planes, automobiles, as well as an auto mode that supposedly can kind of tell what you're looking at on whether it's an animal, a person, a vehicle, and pick the best focusing profile based on what you are looking at. Canon has stated that it's going to use artificial intelligence in order to make this as accurate as possible. Now moving into the video side of things, we are getting 4K 60 uncropped, 6K oversampled video. That was one of the big things that many of us thought we were going to see the same between the cameras, is that we were still going to get that 4K crop in 60 like we did on the standard R6. Now in terms of recording, the 30-minute limit has been removed on this camera. So you will be able to go out there and record for longer than 30 minutes straight without the camera stopping you and making you start a new file. Now with that being said, a lot of the overheating issues have also apparently been resolved. At least from what the hands-on reviewers have been saying, they had no issues with the overheating while they were out doing their test of the physical units over the last few weeks. Many of them being in warmer, sunny areas for long durations of the day and still never ran into overheating issues. Now this is going to be an absolute upside for anyone doing wedding, sports, or outside events. Now Canon's also added a new feature which I didn't see a lot about in any of the other hands-on review videos, which is a focus breathing compensation option, which when enabled will let your focus go between sources without getting the focus breathing where it changes your framing of what you're trying to shoot, and it's going to make it look more natural as if you were doing a manual racking of focus. Now in terms physically, the body is pretty much the same as the R6. Some of the button layouts have been changed. First and foremost is the power button has been replaced with a dedicated video and photo mode switch, which many people have been asking for quite some time. Currently in the Canon R5 and the Canon R6, you have to digitally click a button on top of the unit, go through menus to switch between video and photo, and to be quite honest, it's a pain in the ass. And hopefully moving forward, Canon adopts this on all of their newer cameras. Now with the addition of this button, the power button has been moved to the other side of the camera. Now with that, we also are getting the new improved hot shoe that the R3 introduced last year. Now there's one more feature that I specifically want to talk about, as it's something that I haven't really seen any of the other reviewers talk about, and we're probably going to have to wait until this camera gets in more people's hands. Canon has stated that the R6 Mark II via USB-C will be able to plug directly into a computer and be used as a webcam without additional software, using UVC and UAC compatibility. Now currently, if you want to use something like the R5, the R6, or any of the more recent Canon cameras as a webcam, you either have to get a video capture card or you have to run a USB-C into your computer and use the Canon specific webcam software, which isn't the best software that's out there. Now, I personally hope this is a feature that works extremely well. Being able to plug your camera directly into your computer and open up something like Zoom or OBS or Google Meetings or any of those other apps and be able to stream directly using your camera instead of just a crappy webcam and all you're using as a cable is an absolute game changer for Canon, as this is something that companies like Sony have been able to do for quite some time. What we don't know is if there's going to be some type of charging component while also using this as your webcam. If you're someone who's just going to use this for short meetings, your battery's probably going to last long enough to get you through. But if you want to use this for more long-term streaming, if you're not getting any form of charging capabilities through that USB-C while you're streaming, you're going to have to invest in some form of extra dummy battery in order to keep power. Now, that's still not a huge trade-off considering that capture cards can range anywhere from $100 or more for a good capture card. Now, I want you guys to let me know down in the comments, is that a feature that actually excites you? Or are there any other features that we talked about that absolutely excite you? And what features did you not get on this camera that you were upset about? With the exception of the stacked sensor, because that just wasn't a realistic option or a $24.99 camera body. At least not yet. Now, in terms of pricing, as I just said, the body only is $24.99, just like the R6 has been since its release. The body and kit lens with the 24-105, 4.0 to 7.1 is going to be $27.99. And then you also have the option of a secondary kit with a 24-105 f4 that will be $35.99. Now, unfortunately, if you haven't pre-ordered this camera at the time of viewing this video, you were probably too late. This has been common with Canon cameras for the last 2 years, but if it's anything like the R7, a lot of these companies should get restocked relatively quickly, and hopefully people aren't waiting too long for these pre-orders. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up my overview of the R6 Mark II official announcement. If you liked the video, let me know by hitting that thumbs up. Also, consider subscribing to the channel if you liked this video and you want to see more content like this. Please feel free to leave any comments down in the comment section below. And with that being said, until next time.